Today we're going to be taking a look at the Buyers Products round interior LED dome light with toggle switch. We have three different versions of this light. One's going to come with this little nice toggle switch. There's going to be another one that's not going to have a switch at all. And then there's going to be a third one which has a motion sensor. So depending on what your idea is and where you're going to put this thing, you can grab whichever one's going to be best for you. This is going to be for your 12 volt DC systems, and it's going to give us about 2200 lumens. So it is an extremely bright light. So when it comes to the size of this, from the diameter is about 5 1/8 of an inch, and the mounting holes are going to be about 4 1/16 inches from center to center. And other than that, pretty much this is just going to pull about 18 watts and 1.5 amps. There's about 36 diodes. You can kind of see them through the little lens here. And that's really going to give us all of that lumens. And that's why it's really, really bright. It's kind of a white light, so it's not really some of the soft white. So if you're going for a certain type of color for the feel of your trailer, just be mindful this isn't going to be a very homey feel. It's just going to give you a lot of bright white light. A lot of you are wondering why LEDs. Well, I just think it's the smarter route because this will last literally 15 times or 50 times longer than just your standard incandescent bulbs. They're going to be more efficient and there's no bulbs to replace. So it's definitely the right move just because it'll put less load on your system and you'll just get more bang for your buck because it'll last a lot longer. One thing I like about this is it doesn't just have just the LEDs exposed, it does have a little lens there. So it has a really nice clean look. It does have a white little trim around the outside, and that's the only color that this thing really comes in. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to it. It's just a really bright light. I was pretty impressed comparing it to a couple of the other lights that we have. This is the brightest one in the trailer as of right now. Right behind you, there's one more light that has a little switch. And as you can see, this isn't really as intense as some of the other lights. So you can kind of see the difference between that light and this light. It's definitely an upgrade from what we had before, just because this is nothing. This is literally all the light that I need to be able to get all my gear and everything all set up. There's not a whole lot else to go over besides the install. So if you want to see how we hook this thing up in our trailer, stick around, we're going to show you. A couple things we want to do to prepare. One, we need to take this lens cover off to access our mounting holes. And one thing I like to do is prepare our wires. So we're going to have a positive and negative lead. So what we want to do is just get the wire out. Like that. Pull this out and twist these together. And for the ground, I don't have a ground wire going to where our light's gonna go. So what I'm gonna do is just put a little circle terminal on the end. If you don't have some, we do here at etrailer. And then this is just gonna go to the frame for the ground. Then take your crimper tools and crimp it down. We want to make sure this is nice and solid, so give it a good tug, make sure it's on there. This one is, we're good. And then for the positive side, what I like to do is get some heat shrink butt connectors, just because they are the best connection that you'll get. It'll keep all that water out. And I like to put these on before, just because it's easier to do down here than up on the ceiling of the trailer. Again, we want to make sure it's nice and tight. Give it a good tug, and it's solid. Now we want to figure out where we're going to put it. If we're just replacing a light, you obviously know where we're putting it. But if you are just putting a brand new light in a new spot, we want to make sure that we just have a power wire ran. This does not have a switch on it, so just make sure that the power wire is going to have a toggle switch somewhere so we can turn this thing on and off. One thing I like to do is get something in place to where we can kind of keep it up there. So what I'm going to do is just put this ground wire in place, just so I don't have to constantly worry about dropping this light, which it's not an incandescent, so it should be fine, but if we can prevent a drop, that's good. And we do want to put this on a solid part of the frame, and we want to make sure it's nice and clean and no rust is in place. So now it's just going to kind of sit here and we can continue on. The next thing we want to do is just connect our power wire to the other side of our butt connector. Once you get all the wires connected, just turn the switch on, make sure that it works, and then you can go ahead and screw it up in. It comes with 3 different Phillips type screws. They're not self-tappers, so you might have to do a pre-drilled hole for them to go in. But then once you're done with that, you can take this little lens cover and pop it on. Once it snaps in, should be good to go. And that'll do it for a look at the Buyers Products round LED interior dome light with a toggle switch.